Bama, Monguno, Dikwa. For months, access by road to these towns was impossible, leaving thousands of people trapped by the conflict opposing Boko Haram and the Nigerian army. At long last, it's possible once again to get through to these towns. MSF has to travel under armed escort or in helicopters. The needs are immense, like in Bama, where 10 to 15,000 people are living.
We've been queuing for 3 days now. There's no water, that's what's worrying us. There's no food either. We're all hungry. We have no shelter and no clothes. That's what we need.
During each visit, the team seeks out the patients most in need of emergency medical treatment.
So they are going out through the camp and finding the children that are in bad condition and children that need medical care, and those that will need to be referred here to Gwenge, they stabilize them as much as possible, and then every week or every 2 weeks, in as much as possible, when we have a movement, we bring as many kids as possible from the camp to Gwenge.
Gwenge is a health centre in state capital Maiduguri. MSF plans to double the number of beds here, 120 at present, as the centre is constantly overcrowded.
The patients cycle through quite quickly. Yesterday we discharged 14, but we admitted 12 because there was a movement that came from Bama bringing many of these sick children. And so we are planning, we're putting up more tents, and we do expect our activities to continue to increase. Not only as we gain access to more camps, but also as the rainy season sets in and malaria season is starting, and we know that with malaria comes a lot of malnutrition, and so we will start to have increasing numbers of malnutrition.
Fan is a member of one of the families who have come from Bama. One of her granddaughters was suffering from malnutrition and needed treatment. Fan, whose husband has fled to Cameroon to escape Boko Haram, lives alone with her children and grandchildren.
This is how we organise our space. We sleep here with our children. When it rains, I sit here and them over there. You can see the holes. When it rains, we sit there because it leaks. This is where I cook food. If I can find something to eat, I cook it. If I can't, my auntie gives me some food.
When Fan's granddaughter left hospital, they didn't return to Bama. With her husband in Cameroon and one daughter abducted by Boko Haram, Fan is just one of the 2.3 million people displaced by the conflict raging throughout the region. The hospital in Abs has provided treatment to over 4,500 patients during the past 12 months. It was a large facility with maternity, emergency and surgical units. On the 15th of August, it became the fourth MSF-supported facility to be attacked in 1 year.
Tomorrow we'll lose people because they won't have access to this type of healthcare. So it's not only to hit the hospital, the damage are far beyond that. And I mean, it speaks about what is happening in the country right now. More and more civilian infrastructure are targeted. More and more civilians are dying because of direct or indirect cause of the war. And this is not acceptable.
A few days after the bombing, MSF took the decision to pull out its staff from 2 of North Yemen's governorates.
The explanations given by the Saudi-led coalition are not enough reassuring for us. We don't think that all measures necessary are being taken to prevent more incidents. So we have the feeling that this incident might happen again, and we consider therefore that hospitals are not safe neither for the patients nor for our staff.
So now 6 hospitals in North Yemen no longer receive assistance from MSF. Every afternoon, in one of the containers at the MSF Youth Centre in the Calais jungle, Livia explains to young refugees what their options and rights are, such as applying for asylum in France, being reunited with family in the UK, or simply being offered a safe place temporarily.
The aim is to get them to think about what they're seeking to achieve in migrating. Sometimes they come to France with the idea of getting to England, but they don't really know why. It's just because they've heard it's better over there, that it's easier to find work. Giving them objective and well-informed information debunks the myth and opens up alternatives. The purpose is to allow young people to make their own choices and decide for themselves what will work best for them.
Unaccompanied minors, who are often suffering from the trauma of leaving home and an equally harrowing journey, sometimes fall victim to violence in the jungle. In the youth centre, those who want to can talk to a psychologist. They can also get some respite through recreational activities or French or English lessons. The AIDS virus still can't be entirely eliminated, but taken properly, antiretroviral treatments prevent it from multiplying. In theory, the viral load of HIV-positive people on efficient treatment is low. But this all changes when patients take treatment irregularly or the virus becomes resistant to drugs. The treatment then ceases to be effective and the virus starts multiplying again. The best way to quickly measure the amount of virus in the blood is the viral load test. Medical staff can then offer patients advice on how to better adhere to treatment and, when necessary, modify their prescriptions. Until recently, there were only two methods for measuring the viral load. The first requires drawing blood and separating the plasma, but it needs to be kept at a cool temperature, no easy task in some settings where MSF works. The second involves putting some drops of blood on blotting paper, which then has to be transported and handled in a central laboratory. Medical staff often have to wait several weeks for the results. There was need to develop more simple tests that could be done where patients actually receive treatment. MSF has cooperated in the development of one such test with a research laboratory based in Cambridge in the UK. Thanks to UnitAid funding, Samba has been used for the past 3 years to measure patients' viral loads in Malawi and Uganda. Blood samples are analysed in 2 hours, which means patients get their results the same day and the medical team can make swift adjustments to their treatment. Obtaining results of viral load tests quickly facilitates patient follow-up. Treatment is more effective, and consultations can be extended to once every 6 months, if not longer. And for the medical staff, it means more time to care for patients with greater needs.
Before you go to mission, before you accept it, normally you do your research, you have some briefing, you gather some information, you talk to people you know, just to prepare yourself a little bit. But what I found it difficult, I think, in Nigeria to grasp is actually the severity of the situation. When you go there, it is something out of the imagination. You are talking about endless numbers of kids and women, very vulnerable people, you know, they are requiring support. They've been suffering by the operation from both sides. I guess this is a rule actually of the war. Normally the one infected by the bite is the one they have nothing to do with it. You're talking about malnourished kids, adults, lack of medical assistant, lack of food, lack of sanitation, lack of many things. So when you see this one inside the capital, where all the authority and all the INGOs and all the local NGOs as well, with United Nations agencies everywhere, so you will think actually, you know, the situation will be a little bit more under control. So if it is not, can you imagine how it's going to be actually outside in those newly liberated area or those areas still under operation?